Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Presented by Liona Labor's Local 663, who remind us, hey, drive safely in those work zones. Those folks want to go home to their families as well. Continuing our fall previews in the sport of football, we go to Mount Vernon, Missouri, home of the Mountaineers, and head coach Tom Cox. Coach Cox, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Coach, what's your summer been like? And it's almost over.
Crazy. I think the older I get, the faster they go. But it's been a great summer. We've worked hard in the weight room and on the field, and just trying to get ready for what's going to be a grueling season. I know.
10-2 a year ago. Talk about some of those players that you lost due to graduation, and who's going to step in to fill some of those roles, and what you've got coming back on the Mountaineer team.
Well, we lost I think seven starters last year, all really good players. We had I think a good season. It was a disappointing ending. When these guys that are our upcoming seniors were freshmen, we ended up having to start three of them all the time. One of them partial time, and then we started like four sophomores that year. We went 1-10. The only game we won was a playoff game, and so the next year we went 8-4, and then last year, as you said, we went 10-2. But we've lost the last 2 years to Seneca in the district championship game. And so great season, but disappointing ending. We had hoped to get by there. Some of those guys that graduated, Braxton Horton is the only one who's going on to play. He's playing at Missouri Southern. But we had some others that were excellent football players. You had Ryder Danf was a heck of a player, a receiver for us that had a great year. And we had Cade Jenkins was a nice player for us up front. We had guys that just really all the way across. We had Jake Leeper. We had guys that were filled multiple roles for us. I think that's been our big thing. We had 52 players last year. We got 52 this year, and so depth is important to us. And when you don't have a lot of depth, then you've got a lot of guys going both ways. But those guys did a great job for us last year. The guys we got coming back are a lot of those kids who were freshmen that got on the field as a freshman, and then certainly as sophomores. So we have a veteran team coming back. We're led by All-State running back Braden Dodson. Braden's had a heck of a career already. As a freshman, he rushed for 960 yards. And then as a sophomore, he had like 1,270. And then last year, 1,800 yards rushing. So if he stays healthy this year and we do a good job up front, he's got an opportunity to break the all-time rushing record here at Mount Vernon, which is saying something. There's been some great running backs come through here. Gavin Johnston returns as our quarterback. He started our playoff game against Fair Grove as a freshman, and then he's had the reins ever since then. He's just continued to get better and better every year with his decision making. He's got a great arm. He's played shortstop for us in baseball, and he has really become, I think, a good leader for us as well, which has helped quite a bit. We also returned Jarrett Zerby at wide receiver and defensive back. Jarrett is a all-conference, all-district player. He broke his wrist early in the season last year, missed 5 games, still came back and had a great year catching the ball with a big old foam cast on his wrist, and even scored twice against Seneca on touchdown passes. So he's a heck of a player. We've got guys up front that are back, and we've just got, I think, a nice team. Unfortunately, we've lost a couple of players already. Dominic Snelton was our outside linebacker and going to play our H back in the backfield, kind of our sniffer back. And he hurt his knee on the very first day of camp, and he's a senior that unfortunately will not have a senior season on the field, and just brokenhearted about that. One of our really good leaders and just a really good overall player. And then in the Branson team camp last week, we lost Julian Hernandez to a broken collarbone. And hopefully he will be back fairly early in the season. But he looked to obviously be a starter on defense for us. He can play safety or corner, and then he plays in our slot position and was going to have an increased role. As a matter of fact, he broke that collarbone on a long run that he had broken against Branson in that team camp last week. So we got a lot of guys back though, and it's a good group that I really enjoy coaching. We've gotten to know them very well when they play that much football and you're with them that much. So I think it's a season that we've all been looking forward to for a long time, but we don't want to try to do too much. We just want to play good football. We play, I think, pretty good defense as well. Our defense did a great job last year. Coach Chris Johnston does a really great job preparing our guys for that. We didn't give up many points, but in the 2 games we lost, we gave up quite a few points. And so that's something that we've got to work on, and we have. And so looking forward to seeing how well we do. Up front, we were thin last year in numbers on the defensive line. And so I think that's something that we've tried to really work hard on, become offensively and defensively more powerful, more explosive up front, and get off the ball both ways a lot better. Just help Dodson in the running game, help Gavin in the passing game, and help us in the defensive second level and third level. So looking forward to the season. We know it's tough. We're back in the Big Eight. That's kind of the original Big Eight. And those guys play a really physical brand of football on that side. And so we've got to be ready to take on that challenge.
You mentioned kind of the original Big Eight. There's had several conference changes, last year, at the end of last year, going into this year, with Ozark Conference kind of disbanding. I noticed you've got a Parkview on your schedule. Is this maybe the first time that you know of that Mount Vernon has ever played Parkview in football?
I'm pretty sure it's the first time ever. It's kind of a funny story for us anyway, getting to that game, because we originally had week 7 open with the new conference alignment. We'll play mostly our conference schools, of course, and then we had the slot that gave us week 7 that we had to find a game for. Well, we've played Rogersville, and they had a week 7 open date, and we've been playing them the last few years. Always very competitive game, go one way or the other, and Class 4 school, so it was going to be good for us. And so we got that game scheduled. Well, then, as you mentioned, there were so many other changes going on that Ozark Mountain Conference, they added some teams. Well, Raj called us and said, "Hey, sorry, we're going to have to play a conference game that week." So we lost them. And then we looked around again. We ended up picking up Buffalo. And then, sure enough, Skyline left to go to a new conference. Buffalo decided they wanted to step into their spot in that conference. So they called us back and said, "Hey, sorry, but we can't play in week 7 anymore." So we ended up, still looking. Parkview had an open date. And so we said, let's go. So it's a Class 5 school and they're coming to Mount Vernon. And for sure, it's the first time they've been over here. So we're looking forward to that. We saw them at the Evangel team camp. They've got some really fine athletes over there. So we'll have to be on top of our game for sure that week.
And with regards to your schedule, I've noticed there's no Reed Spring, and typically over the past 5 or 6 years, you've played Reed Spring like a home and home you've played them twice every season, and now they're not on your schedule at all.
Yeah, it's tough. We had developed a good little relationship with those guys. I mean, very competitive, very, sometimes got a little testy here and there, but we always enjoyed playing them. Coach McFarland did a great job down there, and now he's taken over at Willard. So we'll miss those days, but it's kind of the same way with Springfield Catholic. We had, some great games with those guys, and we developed good relationships over there. When Coach Hancock was there, and So it's been, a big shakeup, but we're looking forward to getting back with Aurora. We were both on the east side in the Big Eight, which was really the Big 14, but we're looking forward to getting back over there. We opened with Aurora, and Coach Pitts has done a great job there. They've really come on. We played them early last year, thankfully, and they kind of changed their offense and their philosophy a little bit. And man, they just started pounding people, and so ended up with, I think, 5 or 6 wins last year. So they're hungry. We saw them at the Branson team camp, and they looked really really good. I was impressed with them. And then week 2 we've got Seneca. So we're tested right out of the gate, and so you can't beat them if you don't play them. So we're gonna do our best.
Jamboree, where and who's a part of it?
Back at Mount Vernon again. We've hosted for the last several years. We've got McDonald County coming up. We've got Neosho coming up, and then we have Forsyth coming up. So it's been a good mixture there from class 5, class 4, class 3, and sometimes class 2 there with Forsyth. So it's a good mixture. We get a good look, and it's one that we always enjoy hosting. Those guys uh, do a good job of coaching and of trying to get out of that jamboree. I think we're all on the same page of what we want to do there. So good guys coming over, and we're looking forward to that.
And you mentioned the running back, I think Dotson, who has an opportunity maybe to set the all-time career rushing record at Mount Vernon. Who holds that currently?
Bailey Moore. Bailey Moore had a great career. That guy, for only weighing like 150, 155 pounds, was an unbelievable player during Coach Dan Henderson's tenure here, and he was tough. I mean, he's a cowboy, and he played just like that. So he just refused to go down. But Braden's really an amazing player. I think he's got a lot of talent, but he's just got intangibles there. He's kind of an unassuming football player, really, and probably baseball is his favorite sport. He was also the Class 4 first team All State catcher this spring in baseball. So he can do a lot of different things, but he just always amazes me with how he can kind of contort his body to get through a hole or to get around a blocker and make a play. And he's just really a humble kid, and just gets out there and just plays hard, and just keeps on going. So he's kind of got a second gear that he kicks it into, and but we're happy to have him wearing the green.
Very good. Well, Coach Cox, as always, hey, thanks for being generous with your time. And I know it's about to get kicked off for real here on Monday as the fall practice is open. But thanks again, and good luck this season. And hopefully we'll get to talk to you throughout the year.
Thank you, Guy. I appreciate you very much, man.
You bet. You're watching the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that